as you're waking up, the results of a New York Times Siena College poll are showing that more than half of all registered voters see the mainstream media as a threat to democracy in the United States.
Americans are extremely more polarized, and polling continuously shows that. Our population gets news from vastly different sources. We don't agree on what the facts are.
Joining me live for a closer look at that New York Times Siena College poll is Dre Clark. Good morning, Dre.
Let's take a look at these poll numbers together here. According to this poll conducted of registered voters conducted by the New York Times and Siena College, 59% of voters see the media as a threat to democracy.
What's going on, everyone? Sauce Kenny here today, and we got news for you. So, as you saw from the intro, 59% of Americans believe that the mainstream media is a threat to democracy. Democracy TM, right? Technically, we're a republic, but hey, democracy and republic seem to be used interchangeably in this day and age, right? But I digress. The point is why I want to bring up this video is this idea that I feel like there's hope, you've seen the stats, you've seen a bunch of mainstream liberal media, digital media specifically, complaining about how it's hollowing out, why viewership is down, why traffic to these websites are down, why CNN has low ratings, and NBC, I always say their name wrong, has lower ratings than Fox News. CNN is going through an identity crisis right now because they pretend to be objective. Oh, we're just calling the news. We're just saying the facts. But then get exposed constantly on almost every issue about how partisan and biased they are towards the left wing. And this is just vindication at this point. Because I've been speaking a lot on this channel about the liberal media bias. Most journalists are liberal, I believe, at an 88% clip, almost 90% clip. Journalism is seen as the most liberal left-wing profession in America. 87% of the news cover Trump unfavorably. This is why a lot of Americans see mainstream media, as a threat to democracy, right? But these Hollywood actors, right, Robert De Niro, try to frame Trump as, oh my God, he's Nazi Germany. He's an authoritarian, when Trump had every opportunity to stay in office and not give up power, but he willfully gave up power. How is someone who's going to be a tyrant, how is someone who's going to be a dictator giving up power like that? Like, make it make sense. January 6th happened. Why didn't Trump just call the military? Why didn't Trump just stay in office? Why didn't Trump just say, you're going to have to drag me out of the White House, if he wanted to be authoritarian? And this is the kind of framing that a lot of people on the middle does not like. And this is where my channel comes in, because I don't want to be some echo chamber kind of commentator. I'm trying to be like a persuader. Hey, I'm trying to be an advocate. So that means my audience is people in the middle or moderates, right? And I give examples. I say, hey, like, how are this is not fear mongering? How is this not divisive? Calling a presidential candidate that had the opportunity to instill himself with power, use force to stay in power, but didn't. Walked away from the White House. He complained, hey, I didn't really lose the election, but he still left. You're still trying to make him, you're still trying to equate him to Hitler. Make it make sense. But the Democrats, oh, we're here to protect democracy. We're unifiers. Demonizing half of the voting bloc because they believe Trump had their best interest at heart, while Biden doesn't. And as we go through this video, you're going to see some examples. Some people wanted me to cover more from the left, and I will in this video, about their thoughts about Biden, how they feel about Biden. But I want you to see this clip by Robert De Niro and see how, I don't understand why when conservatives push back, they always try to label us as, oh, you're biased, you're spinning it, you're taking them out of context, when these people really just want you to vote in lockstep with what they think is right. And if you go against what they think is right, they think you're evil. I digress. Let's take a look at the clip.
But the point is not, and for the country, no. And I think other people are going to have to stand up and just, because it's either that or you're going to find yourself in a situation that's so terrifying. We always hear about people from Eastern Europe, the Jews from other parts of Eastern Europe, from Western Europe, coming over. Look what happened in France with the Nazis and so on, and they come over and you hear these, and when I was a kid, they'd say, you don't really appreciate this country. You don't really appreciate what we know from experience. Imagine what those people went through. I'm just starting to see it. As a kid, I said, Hitler, it's a nightmare that never would happen. But now I see that it's possible. But those people, and sometimes I run into some people who are close to my age who are from Eastern European countries or even Nazi Germany, and you understand it.
So as you can see, this fear mongering ain't working no more. The MSNBC panel can't make sense of new polls showing Americans think Biden is the biggest threat to democracy. They're finding out that their game ain't working no more, right? I already pointed out the bias. We already know. Biased people, biased actors, 88% ideologically dominated, trying to say the other guy's the biggest threat to democracy while covering up their guy. And I'll show you examples of how their guy is more authoritarian than Trump was. Trump had an opportunity during COVID to force all the states to open. He chose not to. Some conservatives disagree with that. But Biden forcing vaccine mandates on federal contractors, forcing them to take the vaccine, no matter their work status, that's not authoritarian? Make it make sense. I'm a Milton Friedman kind of guy. Like, if you have to use force to make someone do something right, then you're conducting something evil. That's my thoughts. That's just how I feel. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. But I want to kind of go into this clip. This clip won't let me go full screen, so you're gonna sit here and watch it with me and just hear how they react to the news.
In this polling, was more independents said that they worry about President Biden weakening democracy than Trump, 53% to 42%. What do you make of this?
I find it shocking, honestly. I can't, make sense of that number. I wish I could. I wish I had some really great.
Because you're a partisan. I think most people will not have a problem with mainstream media if they just stop pretending that they're trying to be objective here. Oh, I'm just saying this facts. No, you're not. You just showing one view of the facts or a narrow view of the facts, but there's contrary opinions that exist out there where the facts don't say what you think it says. Donald Trump's a threat to democracy. Why? Because of what he's doing, or the reaction to him from his political opponents. The legal trials that most independents and Republican voters see as partisan, politically motivated legal attacks. Only Democrats believe that the trials against Trump is not political. Only Democrats still trust the mainstream media. Republicans don't trust the mainstream media, and moderates do not trust the mainstream media. But at 70% clip, Democrats trust the mainstream media. Why? Because the mainstream media is ran by Democrats. Make it make sense. Right? But we're going to continue because there's a point I want to drive home on this video.
Great insight to it. But I don't know if it's an outlier or not, because the other numbers with independents and Biden are going in the right direction. So that may be it. But also just
the right direction. That's a subjective view. But, I digress.
One thing I wanted to add on to what Basil said, this trial's not on TV. You guys do a great job reporting what's happening. But if there aren't those images coming out of the courthouse, people feel like they know this story. We've heard about it for a long time. So it doesn't surprise me that they're not interested.
Well, thank you.
Yep, you abused your hand, and now is baffling. The polls found that 45% of Americans believe the trial is unfair and is plotting to interfere in the 2024 election. A majority, 54%, found the trials to be fair in order to find Trump violated the law. Don't know where they get this poll from, but hey, whatever, polls are polls. A majority of those surveyed both viewed Biden and Trump unfavorably, with 56% disapproval for Trump and 54% hold a negative view of Biden. So it's pretty much a close race. So the Trump bump ain't going to really work for the Democratic Party in this election anyway. According to the polls, 37% of Americans said that Trump's potential second term could strengthen democracy, while 30% said the same for Trump. So Trump is getting the swing vote, right? And Biden, this hurts Biden because Biden's whole shtick, the Democrats' whole shtick, is defending democracy, uniter in chief, right? Saving democracy is central to Biden's campaign messaging. Will it resonate with swing voters? We just saw it's not resonating with swing voters. Independents see Biden as more threat to democracy than Trump. Here's some example of this: student loan forgiveness. Yes, I know all the college students are going to say, "Oh, we feel entitled," but look, you're net negative on the tax system. You're extracting more resources than putting in with the student loan forgiveness, and then on top of that, you want taxpayers to forgive your student loans. Make it make sense. But I digress. Biden's student loan forgiveness plan gets record number of public, right? GOP rep jabs education secretary, are car loans next for debt forgiveness? This is authoritarian because the court already ruled against Biden that he does not have the authority to forgive student loans. But he's still sitting here pushing, hey, I'm going to give student loan forgiveness. I'm going to do this for you guys. But they'll paint Trump. If Trump was doing the same thing, let's say Trump said, hey, during COVID, Trump said, hey, I want all these states open regardless of what the state governors want. And the Supreme Court says, hey, Donald Trump, that's unconstitutional. You can't force states to open. And he decided to do it anyway using military force. People will call that, oh my God, look at this authoritarian dictator. But Biden do it. Oh, they turn a blind eye. And it goes back to the heart of the problem that I've been pointing out on this channel, is that there's a liberal bias in journalism. And journalists can sit here and try to pretend that they're objective. Oh, they only see the facts. They call it down the middle. But evidence has shown that, no, you don't. You filter out information, or you filter out facts that counters your narrative or is contrary to a narrative you want to spin. You only expose information that boosts your ideological prescriptions to these problems, aka climate change, without highlighting the other side that shows the negative effects of climate change policies, or the popular climate change policies. How solar and wind is not efficient enough to actually produce the energy requirements we need for it to actually be a viable option to replace fossil fuels. You don't talk about the negatives of that. This is the problem with biased media. This is why independent journalists, independent commentators are more popular on social media. This is why millennials and Gen Z gravitate to this stuff, because they can hear difference of opinions. They don't have to be gatekept by MSNBC on who they allow to be exposed to or not. This is how Thomas Sowell make a big, exposures online, because people are starting finding his stuff and pushing that message out there, where the mainstream media kind of shun him because they don't want him and his views and his opinions to be expressed on the public square, because they're scared of how much it could actually convince Americans to go against their narrative. And this is the biggest problem that I think liberal journalists and liberals specifically have, because liberals trust the mainstream media. But if no one else of other political camps see any credibility in the mainstream media, it hurts liberals. It don't hurt anyone else. It only hurts liberals. And that's a fact. And here's another thing, because politics is starting to become the liberals' religion, especially white liberal women. Let me not be racist. Especially liberal women, all right? So studies found liberals nearly 3 times more likely than conservatives to block, unfriend someone over political posts. This was 2016. And not much has changed since this poll came out. Because now I want to show you what the hell is wrong with the Democrats. This guy, I think his name is Damon Linker. He's a Democrat. This guy says he's gonna vote Democrat during November. But here's a critique he has, because some of you guys say you want to hear commentary from the other side, and I'm giving it to you on this channel because obviously I want you guys to have all the perspectives shown, at least to the best of my abilities. Back in early September 2023, I wrote a post with the title, "Hey ho, Joe Biden's got to go. Democrats are sleepwalking towards catastrophe with Biden." This is a Democrat. I said the disturbing event of last week. Above all, Special Counsel Robert Hugh comments about Joe Biden struggling with memory provided an occasion to revisit the argument I made that they're about the president's weakness as a candidate, with special emphasis on Democratic Party's role in allowing us to head into the 2024 election with a presumptive nominee who will be incapable of defeating a former President Donald Trump. Who are you going to believe, the Democratic Party or your lying eyes? I want to begin by saying one thing perfectly clear. I'm going to be voting for Democrat nominee in November, whether or not it's Joe Biden. I want to be doing that in a party, even if the party is run by a potted vegetable in Biden's place. All right. And he says a potted vegetable aligned with the Democratic Party will sit at the center of an administration staffed by competent, well-meaning public service. See, this is my problem with Democrats. They're a little too trusting of their politicians. Right? The politicians go, oh, we're trying to protect democracy, but every effort they've done has been to undermine democracy. 56% of America, I just told you the stats before I went in the video. Most people don't look at Biden favorably. Did the Democratic Party hold a primary against Joe Biden? Did the Republican Party hold a primary against Donald Trump when this information came out? Yes. But this guy wants to sit here and talk about how competent the Democratic Party is. The Democratic Party is authoritarian. I don't understand how you can come to a different conclusion, right? But but at least this guy is openly like he admits he's biased. This commitment should surprise no one, not so much as I am a devout Democrat, as that I am an anti-Republican, a committed anti-Republican. So that means no matter what, even if Republican policy is the best chance at saving America, this guy will still vote Democrat. And this is a lot of liberals. This is a lot of Democrat voters. This is how the black community unfortunately thinks too. Very anti-Republican. To the point where they'll allow racism towards black conservatives. That's how anti-Republican a lot of Democratic voters are, especially the black Democrats. This is why I said black Democrats aren't pro-black. They're pro-Democrat. This is the kind of mentality that people have. And the reasonable people are considered right-wing moderates. I don't know when the hell that happened. I don't know when common sense became right-wing. But hey, Democrats, if you want to give it to the conservatives, common sense to conservatism, we'll take it. Because that seems like that's one thing we need to preserve in this country. And it's baffling to me how people would cut their nose to spite their face. And that's the Democratic voter. This is why I'm saying it's hard. How can you reason with someone who's unreasonable? Can someone give me that? Let me know in the comment section. Because I'm a young guy. I don't know how to do that. But hey, I want to hear your thoughts. What do you guys think about the new polls that came out that the mainstream media is a threat to democracy? How most Americans see Biden as a threat to democracy. Do you agree with these polls? I'd like to hear your thoughts about it in the comment section before. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.